his inputs on this national consultation today.
Thank you very much. Respected Dr. Sailaji, Srivastava, and our speaker just now who introduced the whole topic, Dr. Ausaf Ahmad, Arshad Akmal, Najib Huda, and all the distinguished participants. When I heard about this meeting, I was quite excited because the country as a whole is now searching methods by which the poor will have access to credit at affordable rates, and also women, because today there is a strong gender differentiation. If you look at NABARD's credit cards, a very small percentage, 1 or 2%, has been given to women farmers, because mainly they don't have patta land, and therefore the bank doesn't give credit. So we have a number of credit issues in our country, and today, since I'm a member of Rajya Sabha, there was a discussion on the problems of drought-affected areas, mainly in Karnataka, where the kharif and rabi crops have both failed, and also in Maharashtra now. Just before I have come in, I heard the Maharashtra Chief Minister giving an interview to one of the channels, I think NDTV, where he said suicides are increasing, farmer suicides is concerned. And in all these analyses, people agree ultimately, whatever may be the cause for which people have taken loan, the inability to repay the loan, the social ostracism, the problems of harassment, many of them lead people to commit finally suicide. So obviously, there has to be a method by which the poor can have access to credit. At the same time, there are, as was mentioned that by Dr. Ahmad, he exactly said interest-free does not mean cost-free or return-free. That doesn't mean that you should not return the loan. Then it won't be a way. The one way, it's more a philanthropy rather than credit. And that's a good sentence he has given. The sustainability of interest-free microfinance, the formation of business cooperation groups. A number of ideas are there in his paper, which you will be shortly discussing. And we'll hear also the Sahulat's long experience. I mentioned that one of the problems with the drought and probably extreme weather events will be more common with climate change. How do we people take money? Because the first requirement, even from the colonial days, was waiving off either the loan or the interest, waiving off the interest, or postponing the recovery period. These have been traditionally methods by which credit, once given, can be obtained but not immediately this year. Where will they go? With the Vidarbha farmers, they first of all invest very high amount of money in, say, cotton, BT cotton and so on. The seeds are very expensive, and they don't have the coping capacity to meet the problems of crop failure due to drought or due to other insects and so on. The coping capacity is very limited, and that's one of the reasons why they are not able to withstand the shock of continuous pressure from those who are given loans, particularly non-institutional credit. If you read the Pranab Mukherjee's finance bill, which has just been approved, I think, by Lok Sabha, he has said the target for agricultural credit during 2012-2013 is 5,75,000 crore, 5,75,000 crore, which is 1 lakh crore more than last year. Of course, 1 lakh crore more than the previous year. Organized institutional credit about 5,75,000. Of course, this figure looks very impressive, but when you break it down, actually what goes to farmers is a very small amount. Directly to farmers, it goes to a number of NABARD, RIDF, Rural Infrastructure Development Fund, subsidies to fertilizer. All of them are put together as agricultural credit. But direct lending to farmers is much a small amount, only which goes in. That's one of the problems. That's why more and more non-institutional sources of credit become important, particularly for resource poor farmers. Many years ago, when Muhammad Yunus started the microcredit in the Grameen Bank, he made an interesting statement. The poor are not considered to be credit worthy by the banks. And he said the banks are not people worthy. In other words, you have to, if they consider the poor as not credit worthy, he said they are not people worthy. I think that is the conviction which led to the Bangladesh Grameen Bank. The same is true with the Hilabad in our country, and the Self-Employed Women Association, the banking, the Seva method of Seva banking and so on. The number of examples, as was mentioned already in the lead paper, of a number of credit methods which have been adopted here in our country, and we can do a lot of cross-learning. But this whole interest-free finance I had mentioned somewhere, that Islamic banking also in another term, many times they say interest-free loans or Islamic banking, because Islam is a very compassionate religion, and therefore the origin of it is from compassion. Compassionate, that is the root of the whole interest-free loan business. The Chinese, for example, give interest-free loan to farmers. They don't charge interest, they give. In our country, the National Commission on Farmers, which I chair, we went into the great detail. We had the former chairman of NABARD also as a member of the commission, and we recommended that the interest should probably brought down to about 4%. In other words, there has to be some government subvention. It is now it came to 7%, now it has come to 4%. But for those who are able to repay, when they are not paying, then they won't get it. We have not gone to 0%, but today's discussion may show a way by which sustainable interest-free microcredit can be operated. It has to be sustainable, otherwise it will go away. I think the Sahulat Association has already shown that it is possible to operate. I mentioned about the need for timely credit for agricultural purposes, and now, for example, on the drought-affected farmers in Karnataka and so on. From experience, I know the areas which have had drought now may have heavy rains now, then the farmers won't have the seeds. They have already either eaten away the seeds, or the seeds are not there. Unless seed banks are developed and you get timely availability of inputs, it is not possible to sustain. It's also in the paper you will find as a suggestion, these can be cooperatives. The interest-free loan societies can be cooperatives. The cooperatives are structured on the principle of a win-win for every member. There are no winners and losers in a cooperative, because that's the main thing of if a successful cooperative, everybody is a winner, and otherwise cooperative also will not be sustainable, will not be good. In our own country, the power of cooperative societies has been shown by Dr. Kurian and his colleagues at Anand. We are now world's largest milk producer. We were producing about 20 million tons of milk about 35, 40 years ago. This year is 120 million tons. I know I am a craftsman. It is easier to increase the yield of wheat and so on, but to get milk, more milk is a great achievement, very great achievement. And our target is about 200 million tons of milk by 2020, which probably will be achieved. The other one which requires a lot of credit and support is the area of horticulture, the perishable commodities, whether it is onion or tomato or egg or meats. Those people also require considerable amount of credit support, because these are perishable commodities. They have to sell it as soon as they harvest it. There are a number of problems unless you link it up, both horticulture and animal husbandry. This is where we must develop some method of providing timely credit to those who need them, because you are not providing credit out of, as I said, a philanthropy. You are providing credit for a productive purpose, to produce something. It's a credit-linked, market-driven enterprise on the one hand.